Hi, Brad here with Federal Retirement Planning, Bob Financial. I want to talk about an important question today that I get a lot, and that is, should I put more than 5% in my TSP? Or that extra money I'm saving and investing, should I do something different with that? And that's a great question. And it's kind of hard to give a concrete answer because everybody's going to be a little bit different. But I'm going to talk about three possible options today that may be better than maxing out your TSP. Okay, the maximum you can put in if you're under the age of 50 is 20,500. If you're over 50, you have the additional catch-up contribution. But let's talk about it. Let's say you can put in 20,500, but you're wondering, is that the best place for my investment? So we're going to say TSP. You have to put in your 5%, okay? If you put in 5%, the government puts in 5%, all right? So that's the minimum to get your maximum amount of matching, all right? Then I'm going to talk about three other good possibilities. Two is an HSA. HSA stands for Health Savings Account, okay? Now, Health Savings Account happens to be the only account that I'm aware of. If there is another one, please let me know. But it is triple tax free. Okay. What I mean by triple tax free, you put money into it, it's tax deductible. It grows, tax free. Money comes out, tax free for health expenses. Okay. So that's an amazing benefit. Okay. Can't find that anywhere else. I would argue that this should be the first place money should go after getting your 5%. Okay? That money, so a couple other things about an HSA. You can invest the money just like in a TSP. It's just going to be in different funds. You can invest in mutual funds or whatever the custodian offers there. You have to have a high deductible health plan to have an HSA. Okay? So if you don't have that, you can't get an HSA right now. But you can do some research into it, figure out if it's a good fit for you, and then look at getting a high deductible health plan next open season and starting an HSA. If you don't use the funds in the HSA prior to retirement, once you hit age 65, then you can take money out for retirement just like you can from TSP, okay? Where the money you put in grew tax deferred, and when you take it out, you pay taxes. There's also some other options there. I've got a video on HSAs. I've got an article on HSAs on my website. So I encourage you to look those up if you think that's a good fit for you. Number three, or the second alternative, I'm going to say is a Roth IRA. Okay? You can also do a spousal Roth IRA. There are income limits for Roth IRA of, I believe, like $204,000 for married filing jointly, $102,000 if you're single. But if you're over those limits, there's a possibility you could do a backdoor Roth IRA. Now, if you're doing a backdoor Roth IRA, make sure you understand what you're doing before doing it, okay? But the most you can put in here is $6,000 per year per person. But then if you're 50 or over, you can put in an additional $1,000 per year. Benefits to Roth IRA versus TSP or Roth TSP are: one, you have access to your contributions without penalty. So if I start putting money in and I put in $6,000 over a 4-year time period, I put in $24,000, it's worth $30,000. I have an emergency that happens, I need to take money out of it, I have access to that $24,000 with no penalty. Okay? So that's kind of nice to have access to. There are a few other reasons that you can access it, such as first-time home buyer, education, stuff like that, but I would encourage you to try not to access the money for those reasons. Another big one is you can invest money in your Roth IRA in whatever you want, okay? It depends on whatever the custodian offers. So if you go to any major custodian, you open up a Roth IRA, you have a lot of investment options, all right? And that's beneficial because within TSP, TSP has 5 investment options, which are good and bad, okay? It's good because it keeps it simple, which is great for a lot of people. It's bad because there are other investment options. Really, you have your G fund, government guarantee. Okay, that's unique, so we're not really going to discuss that. You've got your F fund. It's your aggregate bond index. Okay, so that's your only option really for bonds. Then your C fund. C fund's large cap stocks. Okay, large cap U.S. stocks. Your I fund, international stocks. And then your S fund, which is basically mid cap stocks. So there's a number of things that are missing. You don't have access to like a growth fund. You don't have access to a value fund. You don't have access to emerging markets fund. You don't have access to a true small cap U.S. fund. So those are things that may be beneficial for you to add to your portfolio. So you can get those within a Roth IRA. So that's option number 2 that I think would probably be a good fit over putting more than 5% in your TSP. Now, another caveat here, the easiest thing is going to be to just go into TSP and put more money into it. And that is important for a lot of people. So these other things, you have to set those up. Now, once you get them set up, there shouldn't be anything to it. You can make contributions automatically, but you do have to take a little time, put a little effort in to getting these things set up. Now, the fourth is, or third option, I'm just going to say, is a brokerage account. Okay? Now, this is kind of a tricky one, okay? Brokerage account, you don't get any tax benefits just for using a brokerage account like you would with a Roth IRA or HSA or TSP. But it's hard to underestimate the importance of having a lump sum of money that you have access to at any time. So I'd like to see, everybody have a little bit of money in a brokerage account that you have access to at any time. You never know. I mean, people talk about trying to buy a rental property, buying a vacation home, and I see a lot of people close to retirement want to do things like this, but yet their only money is qualified money. So it's in TSP, where when they take money out, they have to pay taxes on all of it. And then that creates an issue if you need a lump sum, because you could end up paying quite a bit in taxes. Okay, move yourself up into a higher tax bracket. Most common ones go from 24 to 32%, and you have to pay an extra 8% in taxes. So having a brokerage account it can be somewhat tax efficient. You can do things like gifting to charities with appreciated positions. You can do tax loss harvesting, which can make it pretty tax efficient. But the negative to the brokerage account is if you do have to pay taxes, as long as they are long-term capital gains, you're going to pay taxes at the 0%, 15%, or 20% rate. And most federal employees are probably going to pay it at the 15% long-term capital gains rate, which is lower than your income rate. But still, you're paying 15% on any dividends that you get. And then, share appreciation, long-term capital gains. So when you sell shares, then you got the 15% there too. So this is not as tax efficient as this, or this, but could be very beneficial should you need money to make any purchases, okay? Anything like that. So is it best to say you could max your TSP out again, put in $20,500. Is it best to put it all into TSP? I don't know. Kind of depends on your situation. But I would say for sure it's worth looking at least these two options. Your HSA, your Roth IRA, and a high deductible health plan may not be a fit for you. And if that's the case, then that X's out the HSA. It's not an option. But then you've got Roth IRA you can do for yourself and for a spouse if you're married. And then the possibility of a brokerage account as well. So, investing money, saving money, that's the hardest part, all right? If you're doing that, okay, you've got the majority of the battle won. Okay? But what I'd like to challenge you to do is to take a little bit of time and see if where you're investing the money is the best place for you to invest it. Okay? Because I can't tell you how many times I've talked to somebody that's at retirement, close to retirement, and they said, you know what? I wished I would have put more money in a Roth IRA earlier, but I didn't. Okay, well, why do you wish that? Well, because all my money that I have access to now, I have to pay taxes on every dollar of it that I take out. Yeah, that makes sense. So think about it. Again, the hard part is parting with money, is saving the money. Okay? Once you can do that, again, you've got the battle's almost won. Take a little bit of time though and figure out which spot, 1, 2, 3, 4, which spot may be the best place for that money. Okay? All right. I hope that helps. Thanks.